It's time to take a TO with coaches Turner and O'Neill. Produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy.
It's time to take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Your new favorite podcast features conversation from the world of high school, college, and pro sports, along with other riveting content. Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast and on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, or visit www.turnerando'neill.com. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, and more than 15 podcast platforms. We also invite you into the studio each week via YouTube. Subscribe and watch each episode on our YouTube channel at Turner O'Neill Podcast. Thanks to our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, Collins Funeral Home, and Peace Players International. And our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, Body and Beyond Wellness, and Justin O'Neill. Take a TO with Coach Turner and O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by me, DJ Krissy. Now we welcome you to today's episode as we take a TO with coaches Steve Turner and Casey O'Neill. Here's your host, Kurtis Cross.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 15 of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. I am Kurtis Cross, your host, and this week you are watching TNO, the home edition, which means Coach Turner and Coach O'Neill are comfortably in their homes, as you can see on the screen now for those of you watching on YouTube. Our engineer is DJ Krissy. She is here with me in the studio, and together we welcome you to Episode 15. Our premier partner for Season 2 is Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Ray is a friend of the program, and he is the only mortgage lender we endorse right here at Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Ray Cruz is Mortgage Intelligently. We'd like to thank our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and the Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. This week, we may look a little bit different with Take a TO. We are in different locations, but it's still the same awesome podcast crew. However, we must stop the press and acknowledge that someone on this podcast got just a bit older over the weekend. Mr. Hollywood, Coach O'Neill, celebrated his birthday just yesterday. So, Coach, tell us about your birthday, sir.
Well, first off, thank you for starting out with recognizing this old man over here, the big 4-3. Although I'll be honest, I don't think 43 is that special of a birthday. 40's cool, 30's cool, 21's very cool, 18, 43, But I had a great day, and I appreciate my TO fam recognizing that. My girls took me to Top Golf to hit some golf balls. So Claire and Chloe and Erica and our neighbor, they met us up there, neighbors, the Bradleys, and shout out to DC Sports Fan Sports Extra. But it was great. I had a great birthday, one of the best I've had, and I'm blessed. So thank you very much.
The TO team says happy birthday to you, sir. I must also announce, go ahead, Krissy. She's got applause for you. Krissy's in rare form. All right. I must also announce that a certain young buckaroo, Adam, will celebrate his birthday this week. So we'll be sure to recap that in next week's episode. But yes, he will turn 11 this Friday. We're going to get into the podcast in just a minute. But gentlemen, Coach Turner, how was the weekend, sir?
Beautiful. Great weather. Good little R&R, little Masters. New face winning the Masters, which was unbelievable.
Absolutely.
It was a fun one to watch. You know, little lax, little hoops, and Coach just finished out his spring break just with a little chill out time. Nothing crazy, nothing special. And then today, back at work.
All right, back on I Street.
And back to I Street, a fuller I Street. We've doubled up our cohorts, so 2/3 of the school is in the building. It was nice to see a fuller campus today. So Mental Health Monday all the way around was really good.
Excellent. Besides the birthday, what'd you do this weekend, sir?
I spent a lot of time with the crew, with my girls. I always try to do that before the season starts, a little bit of extra time. And normally that's in February. So, we're doing something where it's a little bit colder. But we were outside. We were at the park. Don't forget about that puppy of ours, which is almost 40 pounds now, just growing. So we spent a lot of dog time, a lot of outside time. We were just enjoying the screen porch, and it was great. Just like Steve, I watched the Masters. Can't wait to talk about that later. Watched a little bit of lacrosse as well, and honestly just got prepared for today. And we're going to talk about that too, to get ready for a start of this COVID season. And just pumped. And while we're not in the studio, it's still good to see everybody's faces here on this Mental Health Monday.
We had some movement in the lacrosse rankings this weekend, but we will get to that. DJ Krissy,
Yes.
Talk to me about your weekend.
I had a good weekend. It was interesting. I had my HVAC changed in the house, the full system. So, I had to clean some things out, and it's amazing what you find that you forgot you have in those rooms.
Right?
Went on a great walk, found a path, had a little beach theme going on. It was nice.
Where was that?
They said, where was that?
It was, still off Beach Drive, but going the other way over toward where the temple is.
So, Chris,
Drive's got a lot of space.
Hold on real quick. So you're talking about the HVAC changing, and you find things like, where'd that come from? So today, speaking of our puppy, in our backyard, digging in the back, which we don't want, pulls up a pair of Ray-Bans, nice Ray-Bans that I swear, and Erica brought them in, and I'm holding these things up, and I'm like, I'm just going to wipe them down, and then disinfected them and wiped them down some more. These things are nice. I have no idea where they came from. I mean, we're talking deep in the dirt in the backyard. So you never know what you're going to find. You might see Hollywood with some new Ray-Bans on.
Forget Hollywood with Ray-Bans. The dog keeps digging. You might find something you don't want to know.
Right?
The person who those Ray-Bans belong to.
We thought that exactly. We thought that, a hand. And then next NCIS episode is coming, or a Dateline or something's coming here. You never know.
He got rid of evidence.
Look, let me tell you something. I was on the beach one day in a private island, and I'm laying out on the chair, and it must have been some kind of bird, a seagull, dropped a big fat sausage on my foot from way up. It looked like a finger. Ask Paula about that. It looked like a finger. I'm chilling like this, right? Next thing I know, boom, right, what the hell was that? It was a big piece of sausage.
Hey, did you get some mustard and ketchup?
Whatever. Come on now. Look, last week we welcomed coaching legend Don Showalter to the podcast. Undefeated in Team USA, U16 and U17 play with 10 gold medals in basketball. Coach Don Showalter joined us for an excellent conversation about hoops, building teams, and how he and his staff make sure to continue building young men even into their NBA careers. Listen or watch episode 14 on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast content. Let's hit our first break, and we will be back with this week's headline.
O'Neill Development is a custom builder in Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and the Eastern Shore. Recognized nationally as a premier builder, O'Neill Development has received awards for historic restoration and urban infill work. Committed to best practices in green building, O'Neill Development also provides support in budgeting, architect selection, and design development during the critical stages of planning. O'Neill Development, building, remodeling, and development since 1975. Find us at www.o'neilldev.com or call 301-840-9310. Since 1939, the Collins family has served families of Montgomery County and Greater Washington with dignified professional service in their time of need. We continue the same family tradition today at our funeral home located just off the Beltway in Silver Spring, Maryland. Our family of experienced funeral directors stand ready to assist you around the clock, 365 days a year. Whether you wish to pre-plan or you have experienced a loss, please contact us to discuss how we can assist you at your time of need. Call 301-593-9500 or visit collinsfuneralhome.com.
Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill can be found on more than 15 podcast platforms. Listen to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Spotify, and other popular podcast platforms. Tune in on your preferred podcast platform. Be sure to listen, subscribe, and spread the word. Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neill records weekly with episode drops each Thursday at 11 a.m.
Become a friend of the program. Friendship contributions start at just $25. Each contribution helps to fuel Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. To find out more or make your contribution, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Become a Friend. One Headline is brought to you by
Insurance Alliance Group manages the gap between damage appraisal estimates from your insurance company and what you are rightfully owed based on your policy. They work on behalf of policyholders with claim assistance and disputes to maximize claims. Insurance Alliance Group serves as professional advisors and trusted advocates. The Insurance Alliance Group handles business and home property loss. Request a free claim review with the property loss professionals. Insurance Alliance Group. Visit us at insurancealliancegroup.com or call 866-574-4773.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Welcome back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Today's episode is brought to you by Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. This week's headline, A-Rod and Mark Laurie are finalizing a deal to buy the Minnesota Timberwolves. Coach Turner, what say you?
I mean, hey, if they got the money, go do what you do. But you know, I don't know about A-Rod and hoops. I mean, I guess he's probably a big fan as a athlete himself. Mark Laurie, he gets it done in the financial world. So I feel like when you have a sports team, you better be ready to spend some money to bring home championships. And the kind of money that he's been involved in and the different ventures he's been a part of, hey, great. The only thing I'll throw in, man, look out for my boy, Dave Vanderpool.
There you go. Coach O'Neill.
That's a great call. I was thinking exactly about Dave Vanderpool when I saw this headline. We're going to talk about it. A couple things. First off, they're also buying apparently the Minnesota Lynx, who, yes, for all intents and purposes, have been much more successful by a long shot than the Timberwolves. But I read something today that's interesting about this move. Alex Rodriguez, and again, all speculation and what I read, he's got ties back in Seattle when he was with the Mariners for a long, long time. Okay. And there's sort of a little bit of a, look, Seattle is starved for a program and they want an NBA team back there. So I don't know, something to throw out there, maybe to move them back to Seattle. But like Steve said, man, A-Rod is, he's always in the limelight. He's looking for something going on, and hopefully it can change because the Timberwolves, I can't really remember them being that good since thinking of Kevin Garnett and some others. So go ahead.
Curtis, let me go real quick. Speaking to what Casey said about Seattle, I was watching some stuff on YouTube this weekend, and a couple former Supersonics were speaking about the fact that the NBA, there's some things behind the scenes that are moving towards that potentially happening. So this, I wonder if this could be the move. With those guys getting it and having an opportunity to move the team out to Seattle. The word is they want to put a team back. The NBA wants to put a team back in Seattle.
I would agree.
I thought it was going to be more through expansion and building more teams, but, conspiracy theory with some of the stuff that's tied to that, wonder if this is the move.
I would say I would vote expansion in that. Obviously, nothing is forever, but there is language written into the contract. A-Rod was in the building this morning with, I can't say the owner's name currently, but he was in the building today, and the contract does have verbiage that says they will stay in Minnesota because when he's been, Glenn Taylor, I think is his name, when he was looking to shop the team, that was one of the prerequisites. Now, obviously, maybe that's in place for 3 to 5 years. You can't promise him for the next 25 you're not going to move them, but I think immediately they'll stay. But we'll see. But yes, look out for our boy David Vanderpool. You're going to have to open up the checkbook. Since Zerbiak and all those guys they had, Kevin Garnett, they have not been a success. So we shall see. I know they postponed their game tonight for matters that are going on currently in Minnesota that take us back to a familiar place, gentlemen. But, we will address that as we speak to issues as we need to speak to them. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your one headline. Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our friends of the program: Shane Benson, Todd Bradley, Paula Cross, Susan and Brendan O'Neill Sr., Daniel Richard, Noah Richard, Andrea Terrones. If you would like to become a friend of the program, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Become a Friend.
Gene the Barber has been in the business of making you look good for more than 20 years. Kids cuts, adult cuts, men and women, Gene has the experience and style you're looking for. Contact Gene the Barber for an appointment by calling him direct, 240-687-7253. Our producer uses Gene the Barber and he's available for your next barbershop visit as well. Call 240-687-7253 and tell him Turner and O'Neill sent you.
A Squared Home and Office Solutions is the go-to source for home or office network and audiovisual solutions. We can help with smart home integration, wireless networking, media rooms, security systems, and more. We will link technology to your style seamlessly. Visit homeandofficesolutions.com for more info.
The Starting Five is brought to you by
Healthy Baller is dedicated to developing athletes at any level through customized programs created by our world-class trainers. Healthy Baller creates an unparalleled training experience centered around the athlete and coach relationship. Between our physical therapy team and strength and conditioning staff, we create an all-encompassing process to help injured athletes return to the field. Become your own success story. We offer group and team training, individual workouts, or semi-private training. Call 844-622-5537 or visit healthyballer.com.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill.
The Starting Five. Welcome back to Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill. I am your host, Kurtis Cross, and I'm with Coach Steve Turner, Coach KC O'Neill, and of course our engineers, DJ Krissy. We are up to our weekly Starting Five questions asked of each coach. They've never heard these questions, and they each have 30 seconds to answer these questions. If they go over their 30 seconds, DJ Krissy, what will happen? Now, you don't want to get dinged in your own home. You do not want to get dinged in your own home, Coach Casey. Krissy, are there mics on? Is his mic on?
Coach O'Neill, your mic's off, brother.
He's on
I got
his
kids
side.
sleeping here. No, because the ding, I had to mute everything because I didn't want to hear that ding and wake up. I'm just teasing y'all. Come on, let's go.
Whatever. You're just incompetent when it comes to technology. Just say that.
Did he mute us?
He
Have we
muted
been
us.
have we?
Wow. I
would say he messed up, but I will say I love his recovery.
Yeah, the recovery is
All right.
great.
So
Recovery.
what you're saying is
Blame your daughters, blame your wife, hide your wife, hide your kids, blame them
Curtis,
all.
read behind me. It's all good.
so what I'm hearing is you had a turnover, but you hustled on defense and you got it back. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep. Took a charge.
All right. Well,
GB, got a GB,
Oh.
baby. All about the GB.
You get them points. All right. We're going with our Starting Five. Gentlemen, here we go. Coach Casey, since you muted us, it's all good. You are first. Your favorite band, not a group or artist, but an actual band.
I'm going to use my time here because there's some good bands. I'll go with the
Besides Backstreet.
Rolling Stones.
All right, Rolling Stones.
And I did love U2 growing up, big time, but I'm going to go with the Stones.
All right, Coach Steve Turner.
He just named one of mine.
Okay.
And that's what I was going to go with. See, the problem is genre. I like different bands for different genres.
Right.
But U2, yes, I'm going to go U2 / The Roots.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, I second that. I saw them at the Fillmore. They are unbelievable.
So Earth, Wind, and Fire doesn't get no love from you?
Oh, they get. It's like I said, there's so many bands of genre. I mean, this weekend I was listening to some oldies in here. People were like, "What the hell is he doing?" And I was like, "I'm jamming."
Okay, all right. Coming back to you, Coach Turner. Largest project you've ever taken on, either solo or with a group. Like, did you build a deck, or largest project you've ever taken on? And while he's thinking, Coach O'Neal, you've worked with O'Neal Development, done some construction. That does not count. That's your personal project.
All right, I'm going to end up getting dinged because I'm asking a question. So I'll accept getting dinged.
All right.
Does that project have to do with like maintenance, like, hands-on maintenance, or any kind of a project?
Any kind of a project that was pretty big and you were proud, of course, to work on.
Oh, there's no greater project in my life than putting together the program that I've built for the last 17 years at Gonzaga.
There you go. And no ding came. Coach O'Neal.
Well, you got me on the O'Neal Development. I grew up every summer and winter framing houses, digging footers, and doing all sorts of things. But I'll say one of the best projects was working on this back deck before we remodeled it with my old man, and building a tree house for the grandkids with the old man. That was fun. So I'll go with the tree house. Just doing that with him was incredible, but very proud of building the program we have. Shout out. Boom.
All right. Coach Casey O'Neal, what is your casino game of choice?
Blackjack. I'm a blackjack player. Love it. I do love poker as well. Not as good at it as others are. When I go to the casino, I'm hitting the blackjack tables. Done.
All right, so here's the question I ask everyone about blackjack. A lot of people get it wrong. What is the goal of blackjack?
Well, 21 is the goal. Obviously.
No. The goal is to beat the dealer. That's all you have to do. All you have to do is beat the dealer, right?
I thought you were going to ask me, do I hit on 16s or 17s? And it all depends on what face card the dealer's showing.
That's good strategy. What about you, Coach Turner? Game it. You do a baccarat, you do roulette, poker. What do you do, sir?
I win on the slots.
Okay.
Okay.
I win on the slots, but I like to play Texas Hold'em.
Oh, okay. Well, Krissy and I just had a conversation this week where I reminded her, when you're on a cruise ship playing slots in Alaska and you hit, but you call back home to Krissy and forget you're 5 hours behind, it's like 3 a.m. I'm waking Krissy up. It's like 9 o'clock where I am, or it's 10 o'clock, and I'm calling Krissy. And it's like, Krissy's like, do you realize it's 2:38 in the morning?
And I'm sleeping.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, but the excitement, you got to find it. You can't wait till the morning. You got to know.
Exactly.
But
DJ Krissy,
one,
the message
number
that
one, no, I'm not in Alaska. Number one, that's the problem.
That's the problem.
The question should have been to him, how much are you sliding up into my account since you're waking me up at 3 a.m.?
Oh, you know what? We got to mute his mic. Can we mute his mic?
No.
I got you, sister.
This mic must stay on. I like this one.
All right, Coach Turner, what can you do today that you could not do in your 30s?
Wow, that's a good question. What can I not do today?
Or what can you do today that you couldn't accomplish, for example, in your 30s?
I think that's a good question, man. You got me.
You can defer.
I'm getting this. Yeah, I'm deferring.
All right, Coach O'Neal.
That's such a good question that I'm waiting on the 25 seconds there, and I'm still kind of stumped. You know what I'll go with? It's something more personal, and I think it's more that today I listen better and are more honest than I was in my 30s, not only with myself, but with others. So I think I've become more of a better person. Not that I wasn't in my 30s. I just
right. And honesty is not about telling lies, but you could just be honest with yourself. You can just approach things.
Yeah.
All right, Krissy. Coach Turner, what can you do now that you could not do?
And I think I was thinking a little bit along the lines of that, just my growth as a human being. Like, I think my ability to listen is huge. Communicate with others, And I'm going to say trust. Like, trust is something that I'm a lot better at now at about to be 50 than I was in my 30s.
Good man. All right. You know what's coming up, gentlemen. Rapid fire fashion coach Turner. Would you prefer to never mentally age or physically age?
Mentally.
A little late or way too early? What do you choose?
A little late or way too early?
Which one would you rather be?
Oh, I'd rather be way too early.
Would you be a better farmer or pilot?
Pilot.
Farmer.
Ground floor of Apple or Microsoft?
Either one, I'm getting rich.
So here's the one I enjoyed this one. Full scholarship for Jared in Hawaii or 75% scholarship driving distance from home?
Full scholarship, Jared in Hawaii. I'm going to spend that money that would have been the 25% taking the flights out there, and it's Hawaii.
It's Hawaii, right? All right, Coach O'Neal, you are rapid fire fashion. Lead singer of a band, or do you want to be the drummer?
Oh, lead singer.
Own your own boat or airplane?
Oh, boy. I'm going to go boat.
All right, Home Depot or Lowe's?
Oh, the Depot all day long.
Boxing or MMA?
Boxing.
Driving range or fishing creek in your backyard?
Oh, gee. I'm going to go Fishing Creek because I can go to a driving range and Fishing Creek. I mean, that's just would be so cool. And shout out to Krissy from our Christmas show for the Home Depot gift card. Let's go. Use it already.
And Coach Turner, by the way, remember for Jared's 21st, you picked Vegas last week, so you already got your money to fly to Hawaii. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your starting five. The starting five.
Body and Beyond Wellness is acupuncture and wellness consulting. Our peaceful oasis is nestled just outside the Washington, D.C. Beltway. Our acupuncture treatments, workshops, and other wellness offerings will have you feeling restored, renewed, and revived. A limited appointment schedule is now available, but you must call in advance to schedule. Call 301-758-7980 or visit www.thebodyandbeyond.com for more info.
Winsight Media. Winsight delivers connections and intelligence to four of the fastest growing verticals: convenience retailing, grocery businesses, restaurants, and non-commercial food service through broad and cutting-edge platforms. No company is better positioned to meet the food industry's needs than Winsight. Connect with us at www.winsightmedia.com.
Let's get social. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neal Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube. Search Turner and O'Neal and then click subscribe.
This segment of Take a Teo with Turner and O'Neal is sponsored by
Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. With a stellar reputation as an outstanding mortgage lender, Ray Cruz serves the lending needs of real estate professionals, builders, and individual home buyers in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Texas, California, Florida, Illinois, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Ray believes that integrity is the cornerstone of his business, and helping you achieve your home financing goals is his business. Located in the heart of Bethesda, Maryland, contact Ray P. Cruz today to get started. Your home mortgage or refinance options await. Call 301-761-2278 or visit raypcruz.com. Ray P. Cruz, mortgages intelligently.
portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It to Yo with Turner and O'Neal. Welcome back to Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill, the home edition. If we look a little bit different today, then you should not attempt to adjust your screen. We're each at home broadcasting together for this week's episode of Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill. Let's jump into the podcast with a bit of home cooking. Coach O'Neill, we are each in our own space because you have had something going on today that sort of made it necessary to record this week from home. Your lacrosse season is now upon us after a complete year off, not having a season and having to work through the pandemic. Lacrosse is back. I know you love those three words. Lacrosse is back. This means tryouts, assessing talent and skills, meeting with your coaching staff, and preparing for a different sort of season. Tell us, what does this look like right now, sir?
Well, first off, to you three and agreeing to do this, I clearly felt a little bit of a pressure to get these tryouts in and long practices that are not on campus because of DC rules. I know we're going to talk about that. So very appreciative to be able to do this from home so we can continue to talk to the coaches and do the evaluations and the things we're doing. And so that's just life as a coach. I mean, you all understand that for sure, Kurtis and Steve, of course, and Krissy, you're around so much sports. I'm sure you heard enough of that through all the podcast talk. But right now we are back. We will take it, better late than never. We had a bunch of kids that are trying to make our varsity and then make our JV. It is amazing to see the kids on the field, masked or no masked. You can see the smiles from a mile away, and they're doing what they love, which is competing and just going out there and trying to make the roster and try to get one of those spots. So, we're just going to do our best. We're going to whatever comes at us. If we're at a field in White Oak, Maryland, or in Virginia, or if we got to just do a workout in DC that's distant and masked, and we'll take it. And the kids are fired up. I'm fired up. I know my coaches are, and we got after it today. Here we go.
Good deal. What about these? I know DC may have some limits that are different than Virginia or Maryland. So it sounds like you having to take your actual practices outside of DC. So how are you're scrounging around, or you're the assistant athletic director, you and I think it's Joe, you guys got together, you got the schedule together. So how did that process work?
Well, look, DC. Most people in this area know DC is very strict on the COVID protocols and the rules. And us being in the DMV, things are a little bit different in Northern Virginia than they are maybe in Montgomery County and PG County or Howard County. So the way it is in DC right now, we can have a decent number of folks outside on the field, but the mayor has come down in the DC sports with the no contact sports, the contact sports can't go live right now. So lacrosse, football, rugby, sports like that, where you're that close and you're that physical, they said it can't happen. And so for us to be able to have tryouts and evaluations, we need to see the kids being a little bit physical, going 1-on-1 and 6-on-6 and getting up and down the field. So we've got to go to White Oak, Maryland and rent a field and get our kids there. And then, bring all the equipment, the lacrosse balls and the cones and the ladders and the nets and all that stuff and do the check-in, make sure that the health checks have been done, make sure the kids are masked and distant and have the tryouts. For instance, tomorrow or a couple of days this week, we will have tryouts at school because of how hard it is to get fields in different areas. And quite frankly, any field from 4 to 8 o'clock, there's other youth programs and other schools using them. So just trying to make that happen is quite the hurdle. But when we go to school, we'll be able to do a lot of conditioning, a lot of stick work, a lot of skill work. Just be like being in the gym where you're not going live, 5-on-5. You'd be just doing a lot of shooting, a lot of agilities, and you can learn a lot from your kids that way. So again, our hope is that by May 1st that'll change and we can have those contact sports being played. We'd love to play home games this year. If this continues, we might just be a traveling road show, playing teams on the road. But honestly, as I mentioned before, all the kids want to do is play. They want to put on the jersey that says Gonzaga or Eagles on it, and they want to play together and just do what they love. And the coaches, we'll do whatever it takes to make that happen.
Excellent.
Casey, just talk about the day and how it felt. Like, I know getting back to hoops and that first day being in a gym with the kids. I mean, I know you've been able to do some things workout-wise with the guys, but this is real. Like, this is the start of your season. This is 2 weeks away, live games.
Yeah.
Like, talk to us about your emotions today and what that meant to you and how that felt for you.
You know, just like the kids, I have the nerves. It's a little bit different because I want to make sure that I'm prepared. I want to make sure that, you know, everybody's checked off. The right jersey number is aligned with the kid's name on the sheet. I want to make sure that the permit is correct for the field we're going to, or we have enough lacrosse balls, or, you know, is the coaching staff, is everybody good to be there at this time coming from their jobs? Do we have the right drills that are going to showcase what these kids can do? I'm nervous that, hey, are we over the number of participants in the county? Is Park Police going to come and shut us down? I mean, all those nerves, that they all go out the window once you kind of go through the checklist and then you see the kids stretching. I'm excited about the new pulse that is this year. I get fired up when I see kids scrapping and fighting for loose balls, you know, that are going out of bounds and diving when they're excited to see their teammates go. But just like the kids, Steve, you know, I'm a little anxious. I'm a little nervous. I just want to make sure I can be a perfectionist when it comes to my sport. I want to make sure everything's right. And so, no joke, I'm right before you saw me leave today, I'm taking a trash can, Kurtis, yes, a trash can of lacrosse balls, because when we use these buckets, right, the kids will fire the shots like left and right, and then boom, they got to go clean them up. Well, we get a trash can, industrial trash can size, and fill it with lacrosse balls, so we're never chasing balls until the end of practice.
Right.
So I rolled that thing down into our garage, and then, Steve, I'm literally pushing it into the back of my Jeep, and I tied it off so it wouldn't, you know, all these lacrosse balls wouldn't fall off. But that's what it takes, you know, just to make sure we can get up to this field. We can have a great evaluation. And, you know, I'm nervous just like those guys, but at the same time, we've done this a bunch. I've got a great staff, and you got to trust those guys to make sure that, you know, they do their thing as we're evaluating all these kids. I
got you slamming on your brakes and a whole bunch of lacrosse balls flying all over New Hampshire Avenue. That's what I got happening.
So you might be right there because, I mean, again, it's an industrial size. I mean, it's easily 4 feet tall.
Is it one of those brutes? Is it a brute?
Yep. And so hold on one second. We got a guest appearance saying goodnight. My daughter saying goodnight. Love you, sweetie. Good night.
I mean, the home edition. This is home, baby.
You never know what's going to happen. So I'm driving, and somebody hits the brakes on New Hampshire Avenue. But since I've tied it down tight enough, the whole thing, I came right into the back of the front seat chair, scared the daylights out of me. But we got him there, and I'm going to take him back to school tomorrow, and then take him back up. But it was, you never know. It's better than a lacrosse goal like tied to the top of the car. That I didn't have.
I tell you, it was neat today to see all you guys, spring sports, kind of, you know, rallying up to do the things you had to do. As I, you know, got to see Coach next to me in baseball, and they're talking and meeting and trying to prepare for what they got to do to go off to another site. And then I get in my car. I'm waiting for Jared because he had to go through a little thing on his shins with a guy by the name of Dr. Booker. And I see Coach Baguetta like going up and down the steps, bringing out pads to put in his truck to go to the next place. But it was a good feeling knowing that all you guys are going to have your opportunity for the guys in your sport to get their season off this year, and can't wait to see some games.
And you're right. It was exciting. I mean, I saw kids getting ready to, you know, one kid asked about traveling to go play tennis, right? To go try out for the tennis team at East Potomac Park. And he was curious about the bus. And unfortunately, we can't put the kids on the same bus together. They got to find a way, jump on the metro, do what they got to do. But you're right. See those rugby kids. I mean, spring was in the air, right? For rugby and the baseball guys and lacrosse guys and the golfers and tennis. The crew kids were going to try to get out on the water. And this isn't just, you know, down there on I Street. This is all over the WCAC. And to see updates on Twitter from, I saw Walter Johnson baseball was getting ready to do something, and schools in PG County and Virginia. And it's a sign that we've all been doing some good things. And I think all of us as coaches, while we want to compete and play for these championships, I can't tell you how great it was to have the kids out there. And just when we get to game one, I'll believe it when I see it. That's the goal. I mean, that's the dream right there. So a lot of hurdles to go through, but it was a beautiful sight today.
Excellent.
So, as different as things are, what do you hope to get out of this season?
Well, wow, Krissy, great question. Clearly the competitive side of me, we circle the games and we want to go out there and get W's, and because we work so hard, even in this COVID off season, all the film we watch sitting right here in this chair with 80 to 100 kids on the Zoom screen, all the workouts that were sent home, and everything we built up to. Clearly it's the goal that we want to win games. But I never really been asked that question, and as I think about it, I think more than ever, I want to see the kids have some fun. I want to see them smiling. I want to see them proud. I want to see them cohesive and enjoying the sport that they love. And while I'm as competitive as I am, it's the most fun for me when we're at practice or after practice or doing fun things outside of just the game. And so I think the biggest thing is to see the kids have fun and develop something that they're going to have for the rest of their lives, because they're going to come back for the reunions in 20 years and they're going to remember that season, and they're going to remember, just the travel and them having to carpool or take the metro or the buses or having their mom and dads pick them up. I just want them to remember the season, that it was fun.
Excellent. Coach Turner, what you got for this young man?
Casey, you've got some guys who've already committed, guys who are signing to go into new places next year after graduation. What are some of the things you're putting in place to help the next crop of recruits? Like, how are you going to handle that in a condensed season, with not having your home turf where you can film every single day, maybe having to bring a camera crew somewhere to get
Sure.
film with kids? What are some of the things you're going to do to help the next lax guy at Gonzaga have his opportunity to be seen by colleges?
Sure. And that's two-sided, because, I'm clearly going to go to bat for all of our kids, but, it's a two-sided deal, two-sided agreement, because the kids have to hold up their end of the bargain. And so if they're coming out there every single day, film or no film, and, busting their tails, good body language, good attitude, just getting after it in practice, I think the way our staff has been built in the program and sort of the reputation, those are the guys that I'm talking to all the colleges about immediately. Like, you should see what this young man does in practice. You should see what he does, and I'll get you film when we get to these games. Now, that is now more than ever very important for us to understand who these kids are, because while our season ended last year after 2 games, there are freshmen who are now sophomores, freshmen last year, that we barely really got to know, right? And then during an off season the off season that it was, we didn't get to work with them and coach with them in person and see them all. So that's super, super important. And then we have another a crop of freshmen coming in. And so us to get out there and be with these kids is just completely vital. So two-sided. I'm always going to have their back, but I need them to do the right thing in the classroom, to do the right thing when they show up on time and they get on the field and work hard, and the film will come. The good thing is with our sport, Steve, as you know, is that by junior year is when they can have that contact. And so we really need to develop these relationships with these kids and get their grades up and make sure they're doing all the right things. So I think just having the season and getting those kids some film and getting some practices filmed will go a long way for a lot of our guys. And yes, we do have kids that are going on to the next level that are seniors and some juniors. My priority is always going to be those older kids, though. It's always going to be the older kids that still deserve a shot and letting the other kids kind of develop. So got a bunch of 2022s we need to take care of, and any 2021s that are still looking for home, even this late in the game.
So two-part question here. What will the schedule look like? And in looking at that schedule, are you even going to be able to scout any other teams? Or are we just going to get out there and play Gonzaga lacrosse, and we know that our best effort is, going to get us where we want to go? How is that going to work? Because there's a scouting piece, right? That you're sending a couple of folks out to a different field and saying, look, I need to know what this looks like. What are we getting into? What are their strengths, weaknesses? Are you able to do that? And what does that schedule look like now?
So to answer the first part, the schedule is going to be, the WCAC is allowed 2 games a week starting at the end of April. So here we are, April 12th, and we've got 2 weeks to have tryouts, scrimmage, hopefully, and get ready for game 1, which is the last week of April. And we get 2 games per week. So that'll lead us right around to Memorial Day and take a little break. There's Memorial Day graduation, and then we're able to play a few more games in June. So hopefully, all in all, we can get up to, after a 9-game regular season, play another 4 games, 12 to 13 games total. As far as scouting goes, it's a great question, because if you go to websites or you're kind of cruising around looking to see who's playing who, at least in our conference, everybody's website, everybody's athletic schedules in our conference doesn't really list or doesn't have their upcoming schedules. So, a lot of times coaches trade film. That's happened over the years. Where we as coaches, so-and-so, I'll give you my film if you give me yours. I wish we would do it more regularly. Gosh, it's that word again. We used to, where we have a database, because a lot of conferences and things do it. But we certainly will have coaches out and about scouting, but it'll be much different because some games are no fans, right? Nobody, just the refs and the film crew and no fans. So it's going to certainly make
streaming?
What's that?
Get some streaming stuff maybe?
And we will have some of the streaming. We're certainly going to watch and be able to scout and find a way. But in a season like this, the number one thing is for us to make sure that we're doing the right things. It sounds like you hear all the coaches say, but our priority is developing this team and making sure that when we go out there, we play Gonzaga lacrosse. But there's no doubt about it. We'll be able to see some teams, and we'll be able to be ready for those games and have some fun with it.
Coach Turner.
This may be a tough question, Casey, but I'm going to ask it anyway. One less team than normal. How do you feel like you can deal with and manage maybe some kids this year who aren't going to get an opportunity to play Gonzaga lacrosse? Are there some things that you're prepared going forward, like as we move into summer, to be able to give those kids an opportunity to get back involved in some type of way? I went through it, so I know it's something that's tough. But I'm curious to hear how you may or are planning to handle it.
No, and it's a great question, and it's something that for the people that don't understand, know that we normally have 3 teams: a freshman team, a sophomore JV team, and then the varsity. And because of a lack of finding teams that even have JVs, okay, most schools are just focused on their varsity, and the poor JV teams and freshman teams are just pushed to the side. And that's the way it was for a lot of programs in the off season. They just focused on their varsity guys. And I think we did a pretty decent job of getting our younger kids involved in all of our film sessions. They were all invited for workouts. We had a lot of different workouts for those guys. It is going to be a little bit weird just having 2 teams. I think the kids will earn sort of the time they get, and they'll earn sort of the practice time they get, and as they develop. As we go into the summer, we're going to treat it hopefully like any normal summer, where we will go to a couple events, summer tournaments. But a lot of these kids, Steve, are so ingrained. When it gets to summertime, they do a couple things with us, and then they go with their club teams. Their parents are spending good money, like they would with their AAU basketball, club lacrosse, any workouts they do with club baseball. So we're going to make sure that we're watching the film of all the kids. If we don't see the JV, the freshman kids, we're going to make sure that they're in contact. And once we can get them back together on our field, in the weight room. Everybody can just do the things we do. Then it'll get back to normal. So I don't think it's going to take a huge hit because we're going to keep a bigger JV. Most JV teams are 20. We're going to keep around hopefully 40 kids on that JV team. So they'll just be together, and hopefully that'll develop a good cohesive unit for those kids to matriculate up to varsity in the next year or two.
Love it.
So let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. Sorry, I got to go here, but talk to me about what an interruption to your season would mean. I know we don't want to think that, and you said you're doing the health checks, you're doing all this. You got to have a mobile tryout and all of that. I get it, but we've seen programs on the college level and other levels, become effective and have to take a break and all that stuff. What is it going to mean for an interruption? 2 or 3 weeks in a regular lacrosse or regular basketball season, you can absorb that. But 2 or 3 weeks now, we're on a compressed schedule, as Coach Turner mentioned earlier. What would that mean?
Oh, it's tough to think about, but it has to be discussed. We've reminded the kids. I can't tell you how many times, sitting in this chair in a meeting and said those exact things, that one mistake or wrong place, wrong time could lead to a breakout, and quite frankly, a breakout is 2, 3, 4 people out of 50 right. that are that might be near somebody, and things get shut down. I always think of the seniors first. This is their year. They're probably not going to have the prom or the graduation. That's normal, just like last year's kids. So I just try to remind the kids of the seniors, and not to be selfish. So it's hard to think about that. It really is. And that's why I say when we get to that first game on April 26 or April 27, I'll believe it when I see it. And there's things that we can control and there's things we cannot control. And that's something we literally cannot control. As coaches, we can only talk about it. I do think the kids can be smarter and will be smarter, because the season and this sport means so much to them. And, I really don't know what the next step would be. We've given these kids so much bad news over the last 13 months. I never say you're used to it, but, I hope we're not. And, we want to have them enjoy a season, go through the things they need to go through. So we'll say our prayers and just continue to remind them to be safe and wear the mask and be distant and be smart about it.
What's game 1 date? What is that date?
So speaking of COVID, not COVID or all the things around, it was supposed to be on Tuesday, April 27th. We were supposed to be hosting our home opener, but we can't have a contact sport in the city of DC. So we are traveling to Bishop O'Connell. April 27 is supposed to be the date. They might need to move because they're hosting girls games. So it's either that Tuesday or that Wednesday, April 28th. We will be in Virginia for our opener.
Very hopeful that you get to that point. And if it's streaming, you better get on this podcast and let folks know where they can see it. Coach Turner, what you got? I'm fresh out of questions for this guy. He's answering everything like a whiz. What you got, Coach Turner?
Let's talk about who you're playing this year. Who is on the schedule? I know you beef your schedule up. You play the national competition. I think you and I probably try to outduel each other for who can put the toughest schedule on campus. Who are some of the names of the folks that I know the boys are checking the boxes, saying can't wait to see them?
They're putting a star on that calendar, huh?
Yeah.
So, it's interesting you asked that, but the way we're kind of handcuffed with this schedule, Coach Turner, is we're not going to have that great out-of-conference, schedule we normally have. For the folks at home, we have our 9 league games normally. We're playing a couple of those Baltimore Powers. We're playing the IAC, the Bullis, the Georgetown Preps, the Landons, St. Albans. We're trying to play all those schools. And then we'll play some national powers like Culver. And we'll go up, maybe somebody from Philly or Long Island, or go to Texas or Florida, play some Jets. We can't do any of that stuff. We've got to play the league schedule right now. There's an opportunity for maybe 1 or 2 out of conference, but it's just got to align. because we're only allowed 2 games a week. So normally the schedule is going to be, Tuesday, Fridays, or Wednesday, Saturdays throughout the week. What's exciting is when we get to June is that we hope we can bring in some of those schools. We can go against some of those local other schools that have already started. But I would say circling the calendar, clearly it's the first game. I mean, heck, when there's 9 games that you see, they're all on the calendar. I think the kids are going to be popping out of their jerseys just so fired up. But, I mean, come on, everybody's excited about, playing St. John's or playing DeMatha or Paul VI. We love our conference. Good counsel on a Friday night. Heading out to Ireton, that opener I mentioned, going down to Riken, playing as many games as we possibly can. Obviously you got the Heights, you got McNamara. So I think I just gave a shout out to all of them if I missed one, but I don't care who it is, man. We could be playing, little something of the poor. I don't care what it is. The guys are they want to see some other jerseys.
Will you see anybody in the league twice?
So no, I mean, again, if you stack up, there's 10 of us, and so we got to play the 9 games. It's going to lead up right up to Memorial Day. And, the MIAA in Baltimore, they've already started. They're already 2 or 3 games in. The IAC is 1 game in. We're going to try to scrimmage some of those folks, but we got 2 weeks, and we're gunning for game 1.
One thing that both of you have done a great job of is you've made me not even a lacrosse fan, but vested in your program, Coach O'Neill. Of course, I'm vested in Coach Turner's program. Man, I'm going to tell you, if you get anything streaming, I'd love to see it. I have known you for the better part of a year now, and I haven't gotten to see you coach or see those guys play, and I know it's something to watch. You don't do it for the optics, I'm sure, but I know you guys put together something on that field that I can take a look and be like, whoa, now I know what these guys are talking about. I've seen lacrosse, but I'd love to see you guys play. So I speak for not just myself. I speak for my family. I speak for the listeners and watchers of this podcast. They're going to want to see some great Gonzaga action.
Real quick, so I appreciate that, and you will get to see us. The one thing, just to plug for my team, is we like to make things organized, but organized chaos. We like to be chaotic on the field. And for somebody who plays the long stick position, you've seen that, Kurtis, on the TV, the long stick guys. Coach Turner's son, long pole as well, Jared. But we like to see those guys involved on the offense. So them coming down and shooting with that long stick and scoring. We take pride in our transition. Think of the women's college hoops or men's college hoops that just run and go. Think of the first one that pops to your head. That's us.
The Running Rebels, UNLV, or Arkansas.
You got a good one who can get downhill with that long pole this year. And I'm excited.
Splain. I know. You should give him a shout out.
I can't wait to see him out there.
And you know what? The last thing, too, is the number one thing is we want these kids. We haven't had the normal offseason to lift like we would in person with our coaches. So they're doing it all on their own and out there. So we want these kids to stay healthy during this hectic 2 weeks so that they can play in these games. And we don't have any hamstring pulls or any sprained ankles or any, knick-knack little injuries that are going to keep them, because it's just too short of a season. So it's here, folks. Keep saying your prayers and let's let it ride.
We're rooting for you. We are vested. And, I asked you a question earlier. What can you do now in your 40s that you couldn't do in your 30s? One thing I know I can do is I have learned to be genuinely happy for someone else's happiness. Can't wait to see y'all play. I'm not going to get emotional. DJ Krissy, let's have a word from our sponsors.
Building your brand is an important part of your business growth. By advertising with Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill, you'll gain the exposure and brand recognition behind our podcast. In Season 1, we reached a total of more than 100,000 listeners, viewers, subscribers, and website visitors combined. Your company will benefit from our popularity online and during the podcast. Advertising with Turner and O'Neill equals exposure on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and more than 15 listening platforms total. Inquire today and let's partner to build your brand. At Peace Players, we use the power of sport to unite, educate, and inspire young people to create a more peaceful world. We offer sport programming, peace education, and leadership development to those living in communities in conflict. We challenge the hate that is driven by the fear of our differences. We bridge divides between people through the game of basketball, and we develop young leaders who help to change perceptions. Find out more at www.peaceplayers.org.
Next Level Lacrosse. Train like a Spartan. Next Level Lacrosse is dedicated to providing a terrific lacrosse experience that is intensely focused on player development and character formation. Players at all levels will improve significantly through professional coaching and carefully designed training programs. We stress proper technique and a tireless work ethic, from beginning programs to rec leagues, travel clubs to summer programs. We develop the young and experienced players alike. Next Level Lacrosse has a rich tradition of running the best middle and high school lacrosse leagues in the DMV area. You will find us at www.nextlevelspartans.com or call 240-497-1460. This segment of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by
The Tamara Cusick Team. Ready, set, sold. Real estate is more than just houses. It's about people, too. The Tamara Cusick Team offers an all-inclusive approach, making the home buying and selling process efficient, financially smart, and stress-free for you. From home prep-up to complimentary staging, expert counsel to an experienced and qualified team of professionals, let's chat houses. The Tamara Cusick Team isn't just a partner. They literally sold us the home where the Take a TO broadcasts from each week. Visit www.tamara4homes, that's the number 4.com, or call 301-780-4663.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. We are back with Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Thanks for listening and watching as we enjoy meeting you here each week. You'll notice we are each at home with Take a TO, the home edition. Coach Turner, you are now in your off season, having come off of a different sort of season, but nonetheless, your teams were able to play some games. Last year, the end of your season was cut short, but you got most of the way through a season. So that off season was a trek through the unknown. Now, what are the challenges facing your Purple Eagles program moving into this off season, sir?
The big one is recruiting, and it's due to a trickle down effect. NCAA with COVID granted guys another year to come back to college, and then they opened up the transfer portal, which is probably the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in all of sports. And so the trickle down effect is you've got kids in the class of 2021, seniors right now with no home. And as you see the coaching carousel changes over guys getting let go for, not winning or not achieving, the standards that school wants at the college level. And then you have, kids who are saying, hey, I'm going to take advantage of this, go transfer without sitting, and throw themselves in this portal that's now at 1,300 plus kids. The coaches who want to try to win quick and want to see if they can be older, a little more physical, a little more, maybe have a little more experience, are jumping into this portal to grab kids. I mean, the thing that's got me frustrated is just watching how the system is probably setting it up for relationships to just be non-existent, in my opinion. You're going to have coaches in handshake lines. Are you not happy? Give me a call. Players and coaches in each other's DMs. Hey, what do you think about me? Or, hey, we like you. If you're not happy over there, come on over here. I think you're creating a monster in the NCAA that if they don't fix, it's going to get real ugly.
So, but here's the thing, though. When you create that monster, it's like a stock market, a bull market that won't go away. At some point, it's got to crash. And that fallout, there's going to be some collateral damage somewhere, right?
No.
I mean, in years to come.
You hope, but think about it, Kurtis. Okay, 1,300 kids. I mean, I saw a coach tweet the other day. If we had 2,100 plus kids in the portal, well, there's not 2,100 plus positions in all the programs at the Division I level. What's going to happen to the kids who, all right, find their homes, and then there's 800 kids still left in the portal with nowhere to go. I'm
sorry. What I meant was that there's going to be, how do I say it? Someone's got to pay the price for that. And that's going to be those kids you're talking about now. There's going to be that emptiness.
That's the beginning. We still haven't gotten to the high school kid who's now paying the price.
Okay.
Like, they're paying the price. 20 kids in the class of 21 should be being recruited right now with an opportunity to garner an opportunity for a scholarship, or to be recruited even if it's at Division III where there is no scholarship, but there's an opportunity to go to great institutions and get financial aid packages. Some of that is not happening for some kids right now in the senior class. And we're less than 2 months away from graduation. And these kids don't even have a clue of where they're going, and their phone isn't ringing. Even some limited opportunities not even coming their way. And I'm seeing the effect as each step goes down to the next class. I was blessed. I had only 2 seniors this year, but they both were committed early. So what I did was try to jump early on getting my 22s and 23s recruited, but that's slow. I mean, and for me, I'm living it, not just as a coach, I'm living it as a dad. Here it is. My son should have been lost a year of AAU and his opportunity to be out on the circuit and showcase his work and what he's developed to become at this current stage, and he didn't get it. And he and hundreds of thousands of other kids didn't get it. So how do I do my job in terms of trying to do what I've said to families who decided to come to Gonzaga, to help them get that opportunity? Yes, a lot of the kids come to our school because we have a great education. That's a part of it. But they've also come to the school to have that vehicle of their sport, as we talk a lot, activity, give them an opportunity to go to the school. And right now, there are people who are seeing that might not happen, or certainly being derailed. I mean, I'm going to keep it real on this. We said we keep it real in the podcast. I'm losing kids at Gonzaga right now because of it. I've had some kids who are moving on to other places. And I know a part of it is the panic of the pandemic and what that may look like where their kid doesn't get an opportunity. DC, Coach Neal just talked about it. The work he's had to put into finding places to go, make sure his kids have a field to practice on. Pretty much sounding like he's going to play his whole season on the road. What do you think kids are thinking when they see other places operating in a way that you're not? And they may think the grass is greener on the other side. No, most of the time it's not. But when you're starting to panic and worry about, hey, I don't have the money to pay for college, and this was my son's opportunity for a meal ticket to get there because of his skills and his talents and his ability to be strong in the classroom. And now that might not be there because maybe you're not doing it. Maybe that you're perceived to not be doing enough for your players, when it's not that you're not doing enough. Your hands are tied. And, I saw it from our season this year. We practiced 3 times. 3. Twice non-contact because of the rules. So I'm a defensive-minded guy. My first week of practice is all defense. I did nothing on defense in the 3 practices we had. My goal was, let's see if we can at least have some kind of continuity on offense, so when these kids go out and play, they look at least uniform. Defense, to me, a big part of it, yes, it's mental. It's you digging in on your own and saying, okay, mano a mano, I'm going to go take my man and do what I can. But there's so much more to it. Your defensive slides, your shell principles, and where people should be. If you're playing gap defense, you're playing, you want to trap and press. Those things we couldn't really implement. And so what you saw from us out there was not what I would call a Gonzaga basketball team. It was guys playing basketball, but it wasn't what the culture for us has been, or our core principles have been when you see us on the floor. Now, the thing that I felt like I did on the positive side was I just tried to find a way to maximize opportunity for as many kids as I could. We really would have probably only had a varsity team. Blessing was I was able to put 2 varsity teams together. So instead of maybe 14 to 15 kids getting opportunity, about 29 kids got an opportunity. So I asked Casey the question earlier, what were some of the things he thought he would do for those who didn't get that? a lot of freshmen at Gonzaga didn't get a chance at basketball this year. And that hurts. And that is you want to be able to help kids give opportunities. These kids are dying for their opportunity for us to get back to some type of normalcy so that they can make that be a part of their experience. And so it's tough, but you go back to the thing that's hurting the most, it's recruiting. And I feel for a lot of these young men and women. I mean, for me, I'm speaking to the men because that's who I coach. But the powers to be at the top have got to start working with us on the ground level to figure out ways to make this work and make it not be an ugly system that I feel like is being created by the transfer portal.
So are other area schools that are not in DC getting opportunities then?
Oh, yeah. I mean, within our own league, we started
they're all
over 2 weeks later than more than half the teams in our conference because us, St. John's and Carroll, who are the three teams in DC in the WCAC, we were handcuffed by the orders put in place by Mayor Bowser, and we had to adhere to those. So for a while there, it almost looked like we might not even have had anything. To get what we ended up getting was a blessing, and that's the one thing I try to get our kids to understand is like, let's not get so caught up in the wins and losses. Let's be thankful. Like, let's take a chance to be thankful for an opportunity that many kids forget the country, but just in the DMV weren't even being afforded that opportunity. Montgomery County, no basketball. Prince George's County Public Schools, no basketball. But again, I think people forget a lot of the reason why these kids are in school and trying to have an opportunity to be the best version of themselves as they are as athletes is to garner an opportunity to go to school for free. And when they're seeing people in other places, states, places within their own community, and I say that to be the DMV getting opportunity, it'll make people. It turns these people crazy. I'm just gonna keep it real.
Crazy.
They start panicking and worrying and so I think sometimes they'll do some things that are against their better judgment. And I personally have seen it.
Steve, so one of the things you mentioned too, because you talked about your seniors, being a blessing that there wasn't, this huge class that really needed this year, but clearly the juniors, the rising seniors, and one of the things has been a staple is the pickup in the gym, in the Carmody Center. Now, as long as we've been away from the game, in the spring sports and lacrosse, which didn't have a season, I mean, you've been over a year from being able to have a workout in the gym. The gym has been shut down and has been a storage unit for desks and all sorts of stuff. Talk about how important it is, because you also mentioned those college coaches that come by for the bump or come to watch your pickup. On any given day, you see Miami's coach, you see a coach from Virginia Tech, you see a coach from Texas A&M, wherever it is. And obviously there's that dead period, which I think is going to be lifted very soon. And I think by June, Lacrosse made that announcement that it's lifted. But talk about just getting back into your own gym. I mean, your office overlooks it, and you haven't been able to be in there over a year.
So, Casey, you're going to make me get fired.
No. I'm just saying.
No. What I mean by that is.
No, we don't want that, Steve.
No, but it's been tough. And hats off to our administration. Like, I certainly believe and I trust in them more than anybody. I think we've handled it in an unbelievable way to try to give our kids the maximum opportunities. But it's hard every day to sit in my office, look down in that gym, and know that there are teams in our league less than 5 miles away getting to use their gyms and have their kids work out and give their kids an opportunity to better themselves, to have a mental health days, not Monday, but days, to be in a space that they call home, and to not be able to use it. It's hard. It's hard on me every day. I grow more and more disgusted looking in that gym and seeing all the desks and tables and chairs that are in there. And we got kids who would die to be in there every day, and they don't get that. They're not being afforded that opportunity because we're deemed as a sport that's, too much content, too much physical content.
High risk or something, right?
High risk contact. And I'm sorry, I'm not seeing kids catch COVID from playing sports because kids are doing it. There are teams in other states that I think are higher risk than we are in DC that have gone through full seasons, all sports from the start of the school year to today. State championships being played, no stoppages, kids being healthy and safe. I just wish some of the powers to be at the top would come and have a discussion. Whether they tell us, whether they still said no, I just think they're hearing from people who aren't experts in the field of what we do every single day, in working with these young men and women. And it's tough. I'm telling you, it hurts my heart to look down there.
Yeah.
There's days where I just I wish I had blinds up on my window, and so I wouldn't have to look in there, to know that I can't give to the kids that I promised to give to because my hands are tied.
Yeah.
Wow. So, we have Jared, and you touched on that earlier. Jared is he's part of the TNO family. He is a junior, soon to be senior at Gonzaga College High School. We've seen his growth, like literally, physically. We've seen his mental growth. We've seen his game grow. And now he is, I won't say he's right, he's not at the end of the journey, but he's in the heart of the journey right now. And as a coach, he is one of your players that you want to see do well and have some opportunities. As a father, he is your son who, well, go back to line one. You want to see do well and have some opportunities. How are you negotiating that, sir?
It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done as a coach, because he's always the guy who gets the short end of the stick. It's so petty out there with people that I have to every day fight to try not to give him more than the next guy.
Right.
And it's because it's already perceived that I do. That's just the nature of the beast. When you have a child who plays your sport and plays for you. And
forget what you've actually done. It just appears that way, right?
No, definitely. It's always going to appear that way. Anytime he gets a scholarship, he's just getting that because his dad. Well, I can't shoot the ball for him. I can't dribble the ball for him. I can't go in the weight room for him. I can't get him to build his IQ because he is who he is. I don't do his schoolwork for him. He's an all AB student. So he's doing all these things on his own. But again, when it comes to him, it's tough. And I've fought it. Like, I've been the guy who had to have other men tell me, like, Steve, you got to fight for him no different than you would fight for all the guys you've been fighting for all the years you've been a coach. And you want to talk about something tough? It's the toughest thing I've probably ever done.
Let me vouch for you on one thing. I requested to have Jared on this podcast tonight, and he's not there. Not because Steve told him not to be there. He's got projects due, so he's an AB student. He's going to work his tail off on the 84x50 and in the classroom. I could not land Jared tonight because academics won. And you know what, Steve? I'll take that L every time.
Thank you. No, but with him, and I mean, it's hard for me to talk about him right now because there'll be people that listen to this podcast and it's, Steve's blowing shit up his own son's ass. And it sucks that people are that way. It sucks that humans are cruel. Like, I'm just keeping it as real as I can. Like, they're cruel. And I know the one thing that I will say that I'm blessed with him and who he is that he's got thick skin. And because I know he hears it. I know he hears it from his peers. I know he hears it in the whispers from parents around him. But he's just happy-go-lucky guy that says, man, I'm just going to dig my feet in the dirt and I'm going to fight. Somebody out there is going to fall in love with me. And that person that falls in love with me and gives me an opportunity, I'm going to give them all of who I am. And that's all I want for him. And that's really all I want for any kid that plays for me. I fight for the kids on my program much harder than I do for my own child. What he has gotten, he's gotten on his own.
Look,
and
I'm not on the iStreet payroll. I might be wearing this, but let me say it. Or this, I don't know, the camera's backward, leave that guy alone. I've seen him grow up. I've seen Jared dribble that ball since he was younger than Adam. I've seen him work on his craft. I've seen the home that he comes from. Y'all leave that young man alone, because it is tough to walk the halls of Gonzaga to be Cole or to be Jared. With your father there. Hell, it's going to be tough for Adam to walk anywhere and try to be a DJ, right? I mean, that's what I do. So we know what he's made of. But Coach O'Neal, I'm not yielding any space to you. Go for it.
No. I love hearing Steve talk so honestly about Jared. Look, I've known Jared as a young man who was in the lacrosse program for a year, had an injury the second year, was going to come back. He's come to the Purple Eagle lacrosse camp. I know the type of young man he is, and I know the Turner family. And again, Steve is right. Behind the scenes, myself, Coach Turner, all the coaches that we work with, and our colleagues in other schools who have families and do things. People want to talk. They want to assume things. They want to point fingers. We've talked about it before on the podcast in dealing with parents or just outsiders or haters to begin with. Steve is right. Jared's got incredibly thick skin. He's going to be just fine. It's going to be fun to see where he ends up, and extremely proud of him. But my question, Steve, is, so what is the summer going to look like? I mean, we were talking about the gym. Things are getting a little bit closer to getting bodies and people back in there ever so slowly, but it's getting there. But what does the summer look like? I mean, a lot of the kids are going to be doing AAU in the spring, and then going into the summer. Is it more AAU, or are you guys going summer league, down at McNamara, at DeMathis League? Like, what's that going to look like?
So the NCAA put out, I guess today, that the dead period will finish on June 1. So what that normally means is kids will have an opportunity to now two things: go see schools, get on some campuses potentially, and start taking some visits and get to see if there's some places out there that they could call home. And
right.
then the thing we're really hoping for is that the NCAA this Thursday locks into some live periods. So typically June would be the live period for high school basketball. We'd have 2 different weekends where coaches will be able to come to events that'll happen all over the country and be able to evaluate these young men. And so Thursday, like, fingers are crossed. There's millions of fingers crossed for Thursday that we will get some of that normalcy back this summer. The fear is that maybe they push it back. I'm praying that we can get it for June, because there are kids who just perform better with their high school teams than they do with their club teams, and vice versa. So that's not to take away from the club teams. So you want to be able to give those kids who can shine in their best light an opportunity. And so my hopes is that those kids will get the opportunity to shine in both lights this summer, through some stuff with their high school teams, and then in July, maybe even into August with their club teams. So Casey, what it will look like is kids are now playing with their AA teams. Kids have been to tournaments over the last 2 weekends. It's not stopping. People are finding ways to get it in, so to speak. And, my hopes is that somewhere here, I will get the opportunity to lift that tarp up and have some practice time to prepare for summer league. I mean, talking to our administrator, talking to Joe, and, it's kind of prepare for what you normally had. If we have to scale back, we scale back. So our plan is to, like always, have our freshmen in JV playing over at McNamara in their JV summer league, having the varsity probably this year needing to get more game film, play maybe 2 varsity summer leagues like we used to back in the day when we had High Point and St. Albans. And this year probably doing it at DeMatha and one of the other leagues that maybe doesn't cross over. And then hoping to have that live period where we can coach our guys for 2 weekends in front of coaches in June. And then the kids, July, they're back to their club teams. So June is kind of the time for the high school team, so to speak. And now May and July is really when they spend time basketball with their club teams.
I can tell you the first drill, they're going to be on the baseline. Those feet are just going to go, and they're going to be down that defensive stance. And then they're going to go turn their hips and go to the corner, back to the other corner, slap the floor, dive on the floor, take some charges, whatever defensive drills you do. I know that's the first damn drill that's happening when that.
Oh, we're gonna get back to square one.
Palms up, Kurtis. Palms up, right? You gotta have
Yes,
palms.
sir.
You don't want to be swiping up. You get palms up on that D, man.
You don't come down like that. We all know that. That's how you get those fouls called too quickly. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you guys want to know more, if you want to know how we're going to do this, if you don't want to know what his summer league is going to look like and what lacrosse is going to look like, you got to tune in each week because we're going to bring you a recap each week. Look, we're coming right back with our weekly sports wrap-up. DJ Krissy, let's do it.
This segment of Take It To Yo with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by
Ray P. Cruz, Mortgages Intelligently. Connect with us socially on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, on YouTube, just search Turner and O'Neill, then subscribe. And of course, you can visit our website at www.turnerando'neill.com.
Be sure to listen now at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take It To Yo with Turner and O'Neill. If you're looking to increase sales and gain exposure, advertising opportunities are available. Contact our producer, Kurtis Cross, today. Email turnero'neillpodcast@gmail.com to get started.
This segment of Take It To Yo with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by
From Washington, D.C. to Ocean City, Woodbridge to Columbia, Richmond to Virginia Beach, the hottest DJs are right here. The Mid-Atlantic Professional DJ Association.
Current social distancing does not allow for event gatherings in the traditional sense. When it's time to plan your bar bat mitzvah, office party, sweet 16, or any event, we've got your party solution. Dynamic DJ Entertainment is your virtual event experts. Our virtual events division has perfected an entertainment experience like none other. We bring the celebration to you. Contact us for virtual trivia, office parties, nightclub nights, or any event. Dynamic DJ Entertainment is your virtual event solution. Visit www.mapdja.com or call 301-942-4500.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It To Yo with Turner and O'Neill.
Welcome back to Take It To You with Turner and O'Neill. This week's episode is brought to you by Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Now, our weekly sports wrap-up. A green jacket was issued yesterday to Hideki Matsuyama as he became the first Japanese-born golfer to win the Masters. I did not watch any of the Masters, but as it returned to its normally scheduled place on the calendar, how did the tournament go, gentlemen?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. There's something about that golf course that time of year in April when it's supposed to be played over the last however many years. Obviously, last year it had to be pushed to November, so it looked a little bit different last November. For those golf enthusiasts, it isn't as fast in November, so you saw the scores last, when Dustin Johnson won him with like a 20 under or whatever. It looked great. It was cool to see some new faces and to see that young man. And he's been around the PGA Tour for a while. I forgot that he was the low amateur maybe 10 years ago. But it was great to see somebody from Japan, which the sport of golf in Japan is huge. It's absolutely huge. There are millions and millions of golfers, and to have the weight of that country sort of on his shoulders, and for him to close it out was super, super, super cool. You saw other folks that were supposed to win it, didn't even make the cut, but definitely enjoyed it. Excited to watch some more golf coming up, U.S. Open, all other things going on. And, all of us are golfers except for Krissy. Do you golf?
Yeah,
No. Okay. Sorry.
I've tried it. It's not pretty.
I just want to play that course one day. I would love to play Augusta.
Oh, sure.
Just don't know if I have the cheddar to pull that off just yet.
Yeah.
What I saw was, I didn't see much of it, or I didn't see any of it, but what I loved was the innocence of that young man getting his green jacket. The gentleman that runs the the Masters tournament had to encourage him to come to the mic to say something. I don't know if you caught that, where he was like, just did his little wave, and then they said, "Would you like to come say something?" And he says like one statement and rolls out, and then his interpreter says, "You might want to thank the people here at the Masters." Like he didn't know what to do. He said, "Thank you," and he rolled out. Like I loved it. Like the innocence of just playing with Tiger as his idol growing up and that sort of thing. But Coach Turner, what did you see this weekend? What did you love about it?
But piggybacking on what you just said, to see his innocence, like afterwards you see the vets when they win, the Tigers, the Mickelsons, those guys, it's all, they've been doing it. Like this is just a routine. But to see him, it was almost like he tried to stop himself from crying as I watched him walk. To see him finally start dapping people up when he was walking into the house. Yeah. I thought that was cool. Seeing him, hug his friends, his loved ones, and people that were in his corner, and just his facial expression, man, it was pretty surreal for me just to see him, like, wow, like what, I don't even think he realized what he had just done.
Right. Oh my God, you're exactly right. Like when you won your first title, are you like, I'm really here. This is really happening, right?
It was almost like you watched the guy who was watching himself in a dream.
Right, exactly.
And then what I thought was cool when we talked about him, Tiger to tweet out and give him a major shout out. Yeah. And since we haven't really heard much from Tiger since the accident, of course they're going to blow up stuff right before the Masters about all the things that happened with his accident. Kind of pisses me off, but it is what it is. But for him to tweet out and give him a shout out and give Japan a shout out was pretty cool to finally hear from him, who we haven't heard from. And then to see Will is Zalatoris. Am I pronouncing that correct?
Zalatoris, yeah.
Who finished second, 24 years old.
Who looks like Happy Gilmore's caddy.
Looks like he should be hanging out with Jared.
You've all seen Happy Gilmore, right? You've seen that. Yes.
Yes.
Google this guy. He even made Adam Sandler said, "What's my caddy doing playing at the Masters?" It's hilarious.
But to see, you guys hear me say it about all sports. Love seeing the new faces. And this weekend we got to see some new faces. I think some guys who are going to be around this game for a while that we're going to keep hearing their names come up. And it was pretty cool. It's one of my favorite events to watch in all sports.
So the problem with recording on Mondays is that we're a week behind on March Madness. So we left this studio and went right home last week to watch this.
None of us predicted correctly.
Baylor went to Costco and they got a bulk size of whoop ass because they came out ready to play last week. Talk to me about what happened. You guys know that side of it better than I do.
So for me, my heart was with Gonzaga all the way from day one, from the day they announced
You've been calling it, yeah.
To be preseason number one. But I've always said if someone was going to beat them, it was going to be Baylor.
Okay.
And even though Baylor lost a couple of games in the season, the only way I can describe it, you saw a game with some grown-ass men playing against some boys. And they physically outmanned them. But I think the thing that probably helped Baylor the most was people forget 2 games before that, Baylor was struggling with their shooting. And when the lights were the brightest, they came out and shot the hell out of the ball.
Yeah, they did.
And to be able to play defense the way they did, and you're making shots like that, I don't care who you are. That's a tough game to win. My hats still go off to Gonzaga and Coach Few because I just have the utmost respect on how they run their program. I think the thing you do see, which is also why I'm so adamant and outspoken about this portal, is you're seeing teams this year in this tournament. I know the pandemic played a big part in it, to who was there and why they were there. But the one thing that was a theme, the teams of veterans, the teams who built programs, who kids who've been there for 3 and 4 years, were the best teams in the tournament this year. And what's happening with the portal is going to take that away because people are not building from the bottom anymore and allowing people to develop and grow in their programs. They're going to bring in what's hot and what's latest to try to win. And to me, the one thing you're going to start seeing is those people who have no allegiance to those programs. You're going to have guys who go become millionaires. They're not going to donate back to the schools because it was a landing spot that they used to get to the next level, not the place that they call home or that they're proud to have their degree from. There's more to this than they're talking about. I mean, I can go on for days about this conversation. I didn't mean to change the subject, but it's an example of why I'm so adamant and I feel so strongly in the way I feel about the whole transfer portal.
Coach O'Neal, what did you see last Monday, national title game?
Well, look, I was waiting for Gonzaga to I saw that first whoop ass left hook when it was 9-0 before you could blink.
Right.
But you know what? I was sitting there and watching the game and saying, you know what? Gonzaga will come back. You know, they'll cut it to single digits, which they sort of closely did before halftime.
Right? Yeah.
And they just kept trying to swing back and doing everything that they've been doing all year long in any adversity. And I was convinced they would. But when you're on, you're on. And Baylor and those guards, and of course, look, they had guys that know their roles. Coach Turner was talking about. They have guys that were going in there, maybe have a point, 3 points, but like 8 huge offensive rebounds or defensive rebounds. Nobody could get around their box outs. And those guards for Baylor's, like, they could not miss. I mean, it was almost funny how many shots were going in just at any moment. So it was their time. I love the class of Baylor's coach. I love the way he built the program. And you know what? You talk about their 2 losses. From what I understand is they were coming off some issues with COVID and they couldn't practice. And then they were shut down for a week. And then they come back and then, lose to somebody. And it's not like they lost to bad teams. They lost in the Big 12 championship to Oklahoma State, who made a heck of a run. And then whoever else it was in the Big 12, they were coming off of COVID. So they deserve to be champs. I love the way their coach gave props to Gonzaga and his players and maybe a little too much props to the state of Texas. And I love the state of Texas, but man, he was like, and we did it for you, Texas. I'm like, wait a minute. There's a lot of schools in Texas.
Man, you're getting that re-up on that contract. That's all.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Coach.
I was going to say the one thing that I enjoyed about both of those teams all year long was their willingness to play for each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Baylor talked about it. They could have a different starting lineup every game and nobody cared. They were gonna go out there and leave it on the line to get what they ultimately got at the end, which was the national championship. And that's how Gonzaga was all season long. Those guys just always looked to play for each other. There was no selfishness. There was no me ball. It wasn't about one individual. It was always about the team. And that's why I think they were the best 2 teams from start to finish.
Well, Coach, I think you and I have a mutual friend, and they on Facebook, and they kind of spoke to what you spoke about. It was like that fancy AAU team that finally went into, Urbo or went into one of the inner cities and played somebody, and they got smacked all up and down. I didn't have a dog, I didn't have a dog in the fight. I wanted to see a good game. I thought it was a very good game, even though it was lopsided, and I'm very happy to see, it doesn't matter. This is the situation, You get to see some young men or young women who win a championship, and I know I got to watch the other side of the court where there's some upset kids, but these kids have worked together, and they deserve to be at that summit, which is 2 years in the making because we didn't get it last year. So I was very happy to see that game come down to that. Let's switch topics.
Before you switch topics, there's one thing I want us to keep an eye on. Jalen Suggs.
Jalen Suggs. What about him?
He's projected lottery pick. But he's one of the only guys in the lottery that hasn't declared yet. And I keep hearing rumors he's thinking about coming back.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Because maybe he has unfinished business, right?
Yep.
All right. Let's get to something that I get more and more excited to talk about each week, sir. University of Maryland's now number 1, and the previous number 1, Duke, and number 3, UNC, both went down. Talk to me, Coach O'Neal. You've been talking about Maryland. You've been, since we had a certain D. Smith on the podcast, you've been talking about how good Maryland looks, and they're starting to make you look good now.
Well, Maryland's they check all the boxes. All right. They've got arguably one of the best. Everyone talks about Michael Sowers from Duke, right, who's Tewaaraton, supposedly going to be a finalist, and Chris Gray, who's down at Carolina. But this young man, Mr. Bernhardt, who plays attack for Maryland, is putting up crazy numbers. And keep in mind, the Big Ten and Maryland aren't playing as many games as the ACC. So the ACC guys have played way more games than the Big Ten. And the Big Ten's only playing the Big Ten. So Maryland is the deepest team. They've got defense. They have defensive midfielders. They got guys that can face off. They got guys that can go in transition. They're tough. They're deep. They're extremely well coached. I'm always betting on those guys. Coach Tillman has them ready to go. They're going to be scary, but it's going to be super interesting to see once you get through the Big Ten tournament, all the different tournaments, which are coming up in a couple weeks. So exciting. We're doing a pool, take a TO, to see them go against some of those ACC teams in the tournament, to see those other folks. But, Notre Dame had a big win over Duke, and that's another team to be looking out for. Carolina lost again to Virginia. But
back to back.
But look out. Here come my Lehigh Mountain Hawks in the top. I think they're in the top 7 right now. They just beat Navy this weekend. It's going to be fun. It just stinks we don't have the Ivy League teams playing and a couple New York teams as well. Marist College up in New York has had to be the whole story going on behind that. But those guys need to play. So college lacrosse is fun. And Kurtis, this weekend looks to be incredible. Put on your ESPNU, ACC Network, Big Ten Network. You're going to get some good games.
Yes, sir. All right, let's go. Coach Turner, go for it.
No, I was going to say your Mountain Hawks are 7.
All right.
7, baby.
Mountain Hawks making some noise. Talk to me.
6-0.
Evander Holyfield returns for an exhibition versus Kevin McBride. Does anyone want to see that?
It's free, sure.
This is for free. You're not paying to see that one. Hubert Davis announced as the new head coach at UNC.
Coach T.
Is he the first head coach of color at UNC for basketball?
Yes, he is.
Okay,
yes,
I didn't see that anywhere. I was wondering. Okay.
He is. Hometown guy. Northern Virginia. Excited for him. I figured at some point they were definitely going to keep it in the family. Just was curious who was going to be because it's not a lot of Carolina guys out there in the coaching tree.
Right.
So some of the names that came up were Wes Miller, King Rice, of course, Hubert right there on the staff, Joe Wolf's in the NBA, and then guys like Dante Calabria, I believe, is coaching high school. Rashid's coaching high school. But Hubert was the one. Curious to see because he talked about in his press conference, bridging the gap, something I like to talk about a lot, just bringing all the different, years together. And one of the things he talked about was wanting to put together a staff that kind of bridges the gap from Dean to Roy, Coach Guthridge, who had it for a short time. And so be curious to see who he's gonna name as the guys on his staff. I think they gotta bring a little youth on that staff personally.
Okay.
My 2 cents. I think it'd be nice to see some maybe one of the former younger players who wants to get in it, get involved, guy that can relate to the guys, because he's not too far removed from them in some ways. I think would be important. And I'm curious to see if he goes away from the Carolina way. Like I think Carolina has suffered recently because they're the one school that's stuck with the traditional post.
Right.
And playing a couple post guys together. I think it's hurt them at times against the more athletic teams who spread and play a little more small ball or play 3-point balls, I like to call it.
Play fast, yeah.
So it's just going to be interesting to see what he implements and how he goes about it. But I'm excited for his journey.
Can the Nets win an NBA championship with terrible defense? They are near the bottom in team defense, bottom third in giving up points in the paint. So I'm wondering when it matters, will this defense all of a sudden get better? My thought is, even when you look at per 48 minutes, per 100 possessions, they are just at the bottom in some major categories. How are they going to do it with no defense?
Tough.
I would just say, look, Golden State won the championship without great defense.
Yeah, but they had the best backcourt that we've seen in a very long time.
Okay, well, this team does have 3 dudes that can really score the ball the same way that Golden State did.
Okay, now, well, I would argue this. They don't have any continuity because Kyrie keeps taking breaks. There's no continuity.
Let Kyrie take his breaks and go do whatever he's got to do. As long as my man KD is out there, we're gonna give him problems.
KD has had trouble staying healthy. I love KD. He's had trouble staying healthy. Right now, we're talking about 2 weeks on a hamstring with James Harden. How many games have these guys played together?
Hey, as I always say, it's a bunch of scrimmages. You got to be ready when the time comes.
All right, so let's talk about Kyrie. I listened to Stephen A. Smith, so he gave me some firepower today. 20 games last year is what Kyrie played. He didn't play in the bubble, didn't want anyone to play in the bubble. He's missing games at his discretion. That continuity and chemistry, they matter. And here's what Stephen A. said that resonated with me. Steve Nash is a rookie coach. He doesn't have the answer for Kyrie right now. Because you think Kyrie would put
No one's had the answer for Kyrie right now. So we're not going to talk about rookie coaches. No one that he's played under has had the answer for him.
Kyrie is doing what,
he's a great player, and they know he can win them games by being on the court.
Kyrie is doing what kids do. Kids are doing what you allow them to get away with. And Steve Nash is allowing this to happen. You think Phil Jackson or Coach Thibodeau would allow this to happen? You think an old school? You think John Thompson would let this happen?
I'm going to go to Charles Barkley. I'm going to go to Charles Barkley on this.
Okay.
At some time in this NBA, it's enough time to stop being friends and family. Take the dude in the locker room and let's fix this. Somebody on that team has got to man up and call him to the table on his shit.
But James Harden ain't gonna be the one to do it, and KD is awesome, but he's not the
alpha male. But I do believe KD and Harden with the rest of that crew
together
can win without Kyrie.
All right, well, I'm going to call it my final word on
you
this.
You want to get your team healthy. That's what I need.
Well, how about
those boys?
How about this? We beat the Nets.
They look real cute in that street gear sitting up.
They did beat the Nets.
We whooped the hell out of the Nets the other night with McKinney coming out of street clothes, dropping 17 on Brooklyn.
But you've lost to some teams. You've lost to some teams y'all have no business losing.
We lost to the Knicks tonight. We lost to the Knicks tonight.
Thank you.
Right? I will say that, yes. I'm going to own it, but I also know that McKinney dropped, or was it McKinney or was it the kid that Houston walked away from? Out of street clothes, signed 2 days ago, dropped a 17 on Brooklyn. All right? So we already beat them. We took care of that. But my final word on this is, look, how much personal time do you need?
Is this your quote?
How much personal time does Kyrie need? I'll tell you when he didn't need personal time. He didn't need personal time when he was checking his bank statement when that direct deposit came in from the Brooklyn Nets, LLC. He didn't give the money back.
Steve.
But 3 times this year, he has taken personal breaks.
You got this.
I've created a monster.
Come on now, we beat Brooklyn. Casey O'Neill got me on that. Look, that's our rapid fire fashion. DJ Krissy, let's hear from our advertisers. We invite your questions, comments, and show ideas. Simply go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Submit Your Idea.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our partners, sponsors, and donors. Our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, Collins Funeral Home, Peace Players International. Our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, Body and Beyond Wellness. The final word is brought to you by
Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. With a stellar reputation as an outstanding mortgage lender, Ray Cruz serves the lending needs of real estate professionals, builders, and individual home buyers in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Texas, California, Florida, Illinois, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Ray believes that integrity is the cornerstone of his business, and helping you achieve your home financing goals is his business. Located in the heart of Bethesda, Maryland, contact Ray P. Cruz today to get started. Your home mortgage or refinance options await. Call 301-761-2278 or visit raypcruz.com. Ray P. Cruz, mortgages intelligently.
portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
We are back, and now it's time for our final words, some thanks, and of course our weekly quote, this week offered by me. We invite you to become a friend of the program. To do so, go to www.turnerandoneal.com and click Become a Friend. We are now seeking advertisers for Season 3. In Season 1, we delivered more than 100,000 viewers and listeners to our advertisers. Now is the time to secure your placement in front of our audience each week. Become a partner sponsor or donor today for as little as $25 per episode. Advertising opportunities include on-air commercials, social media inclusion, YouTube exposure, and more. Our advertising spots will sell out, so secure your placement for Season 3 now with no payment due until July. We make it easy. Reserve today, pay in July. Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast and on Twitter at Turn On Podcast. Do me a favor, spread the word. I mean, we're getting our subscribers up, our YouTube's going up, our Twitter, our Instagram's going up. We want more followers. Each episode we release, you'll get a ding to your device if you subscribe. So make sure you subscribe and be among the first to know when new episodes are available. That usually happens Are you yawning? Coach O'Neill, did you just yawn on us?
Long day.
Wow, we're that boring. Okay. We encourage you to join the conversation, so write to us with your questions and comments at turneroneillpodcast@gmail.com. Before we sign off, many thanks to our listeners and viewers. Kyrie, I know you're out there listening because you ain't balling tonight, that's for sure. We want you to spread the word, so do us a favor and hit the subscribe button. Tell a friend because we want to grow our audience. Gentlemen, any thoughts? Krissy, any thoughts before we sign off? What? We can have Kyrie call in. So I'll tell him to his face. Kyrie got time to listen to us because he ain't balling. He personal reasons. Okay.
Steve did it.
Steve did it. All right. What you think, Krissy?
That's
How'd you like Take It To You at Home, the home edition?
I like the home edition. I think it's fun. You know, I get to see all the cool accolades in the background going on there with Mr. Turner. Mr. O'Neill, everything is good.
Good.
It's all good.
Good.
It's all good. Coach Turner, what you think about TO, the home edition?
I miss being face to face with y'all. I'm gonna keep it real.
All right.
I do like this. To know that we have the ability to do this when we need to is great. But ain't nothing like being in the studio with the team. I did find though from home edition I can push Chris's buttons a little bit.
Don't give me no microphone. Krissy, play the song.
I loved it. But I mean, I think that's what's fun about this thing. Like, we all have a passion for what we do. I think we've grown to have a passion for each other, and we appreciate all that we bring to the table for this podcast. And I feel like we just keep growing and growing every week. So let's just keep it coming. I'm excited. I'm excited for, I think we've taken it to some new heights, and I'm excited for us to see even more heights.
All right, Coach O'Neill.
Once again, I'm very grateful to make this happen, especially after having the long day. Apologies for the yawn. It has been a long day from 5 a.m. this morning, getting up, getting ready to whatever time it is right now. But it's all good, like it says back here. And that's from Jocko Willnick. He's got a podcast, former Navy SEAL. You should hear it. He does a 2-minute little thing on the word good. And that's the whole script. My team gave that to me in 2019, and it's got the whole script from his little clip on his podcast. So all good to everyone out there. Life is good. And let's keep rolling, baby.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Enjoyed this very much. Thank you, gentlemen, for doing it. And Coach O'Neill, we know you had a long day. We thank you for still accommodating us. We'll bring it back to Take It To You, the home edition, one of these days when we need to. Look, here's my quote. First of all, thanks to everybody. Thanks to Krissy. Thanks to the kids who help out with the starting five. Thanks to Paula. You two gentlemen, I want to make sure you are thanked. Here's my quote. Whether you drive a $100,000 car or a $10,000 car, the road and distance is the same. Whether our home is 300 square feet or 3,000 square feet, loneliness feels the same. Wearing a $500 watch or a $5 watch, it still tells the same time. So when you teach young people what to value, let's teach them to value people, love, and experience, not things. DJ Krissy, pull the plug.
Take It To You with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our advertisers. Our premier partner, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, Collins Funeral Home, and Peace Players International. Our donors, Winsight Media, Gene the Barber, Body and Beyond Wellness, and Justin O'Neill. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy. All material is the exclusive property of the podcast and may not be copied, rebroadcast, or used in any way without the written consent of the podcast. The views, ideas, and commentary of podcast guests are solely their own and not necessarily endorsed by the podcast. You may submit questions, podcast ideas, and commentary to TurnerO'NeillPodcast@gmail.com. No compensation is offered for submitted material. Should we choose to use your idea, comment, or question, you agree to your likeness, social media identity, and/or information being used on the podcast. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is recorded weekly and distributed via Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more than 15 podcast platforms in total. You can also view Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill weekly on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest episode drops. Some portions of the podcast may be pre-recorded. Join us socially on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube. Search Turner and O'Neill and subscribe. Our website is www.turnerando'neill.com. Advertising opportunities are available.